All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Life and Whatever Else. And today you could see we have a little split screen going on. And don't mind me if I look up and check. Got to make sure I'm still in frame. But we got a special episode here. As you can see, I am sitting here with Da'Shawn Pretlow from MNN.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm terrible at this. I already forgot your job title.
That's all right. I'm one of the media education coordinators for Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
Yes, and that's why we wanted him here. But I already forgot the title. I'm terrible at that.
Good. No worries.
But anyway, Da'Shawn, what's up?
Hey,
How
what's
are
going
you?
on? I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good,
Thank you for
good.
coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. You're an interesting person. So
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So
That means a lot.
had to bring you on the show today.
Cool. I'm honored.
Discuss a little bit about what's going on at MNN, what's going on with you, just life in general, maybe.
Nice. That's what's up.
So let's get started here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do here at MNN?
So what I do here at MNN is as the media education coordinator. I'm one of two of them actually. So my specific role is to deal directly with the producer base. So
Which is somebody like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Just have to point that out.
Exactly. So whether it's new producers coming in with orientation, and I help conduct those twice a month with the rest of my team. Tiffany Blunt, who's the manager of media education.
Shout out to Tiffany.
Yes, big shout out to Tiffany.
All right.
She is the mastermind of how we've evolved in educating the producer base, our community, on using technology in a 21st century kind of way to tell their stories. You know, MNN's been around now 25 years.
Yeah, it's very important to evolve.
Absolutely.
And
totally.
Like you were saying with Tiffany, I noticed such a change because I had come here before, like a couple years before.
We've
she was
known
here.
each other a minute now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so I was here, and then I got discouraged, I guess you could say. I had some ideas, they've kind of fell through. So I kind of didn't come back for a while.
Right.
And when I did come back, Tiffany was in charge, and I noticed a total difference with education and everything. And it actually made it easier for somebody like myself to start my show.
Absolutely.
So it was a total difference.
Totally. And that's a big that means a lot hearing that from you, because we have a lot of producers like yourself who have returned to MNN.
Yeah.
And then in conjunction with the new producers that we have. But Tiffany's main goal, which I am like so ecstatic about, is the fact that, it's important to have a department that's totally separate. Because when you and I first met, I worked in when it was called production and training. So the production department was in charge of also giving the classes and facilitating. And so a lot of us were very spread thin. Sometimes some of us more than others were assigned to teach.
Yeah.
You know me, I was doing it all.
So I do remember that.
Yeah. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. But in this configuration, it's more efficient.
Yes.
Where you have a department that's totally dedicated to educating people in media. So for me, I'm like you. I came back, not expected, but it's great to come back, and there is this new configuration, and it runs so well.
It really does run well, because I remember when I was here, and and I'm not trying to put down anybody who's here before,
No, not at all.
But I definitely felt it was maybe a little bit of a free-for-all. It was kind of like you come in, you get shown the stuff a little bit, and then everything you got to figure out.
Absolutely.
And what's changed and what made it easier for somebody like myself is that, and with the class structure especially, it made it easier for me to meet other people.
Yes.
To be able to do my show.
Right.
And it's actually ironic that I'm saying that, because my crew's not here today. But and that's no shade.
That's right.
I love them to death.
shade.
They just
That's
couldn't
it.
make it today.
That's it. Scheduling
But,
conflicts.
yeah, scheduling
Yes, it
conflicts.
happens. Absolutely.
But it was a lot easier to meet people, which made it a lot easier to produce a show.
And that's important because we need each other to get shows done.
Yeah.
And that was something that before, we knew that, but it really wasn't enforced, or it was a little hard for us to kind of push on folks. For me, I'm a people person. So for me, that's kind of like a number one rule, is that, for us to connect with one another, communicate, exchange information because,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing your show, but then maybe one day you need me to do yours and
Yeah.
vice versa. And that's how you develop teams,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important because when people understand the concept of even swap ain't no swindle,
Yeah.
meaning, in order to maintain your certification, you have to do someone else's show besides your own. So we
Mm-hmm.
had for a long time a lot of people in the former configuration, if you will,
Configuration
of
of M&A.
MNN, where a lot of people were very comfortable and very stuck in a way of they just wanted to produce their stuff and be done with it.
Yeah.
Um,
There's still some
and there's
people,
still some
you
people who
know,
have
which.
that mentality, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing a lot less of that because, it's not being used as a stipulation, but kind of as a
Yeah.
reminder
Reminder.
that, in a community, you have to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so the concept of giving back is that, as much as you love to create your content, there's someone else who really does too. And
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, there's someone looking at you as that role model.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Where
I've
people come
definitely
approve
noticed
for
that.
you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I've had several people in the last month actually say to me, "Oh my God, I was working on so and so show, and at first, they were just like, well, we really love the way you work with us. Can you
Uh-huh.
please, whenever I put it up on Crew Connect, can you accept it because we
Yeah.
want you to come back?" And then they were like, "Well, now I'm inspired to do my show," and we're
Yeah.
like, "That's the ticket."
Mm-hmm.
That then it hopefully will inspire you to do your show, and
Yeah.
then it's just that reciprocation that goes on, so
Yeah.
that everyone feels good and people are creating the content that they really want.
Yeah.
Production values go up because
I have noticed
Mhm.
that the production value has gone up on a lot of
absolutely,
shows. Just
and that's the whole thing. Education is key, and
mm-hmm.
that's the one thing when I first met
So,
Tiffany that I
sorry if I keep
absolutely
looking up.
love.
I'm checking to
I
see if
know, right?
I'm
We check
still
on our headroom to
still
make
if
sure that we're
I'm in
good.
frame. Let me
Absolutely.
adjust myself.
Yes, correct each other. That's
Yeah.
it. But it's really great because that was the first thing when I met her that I loved the most is that, I'm big on education as well,
Mm-hmm.
but how that ties into forming community and
Yeah.
making people feel included, making people feel capable, and making people feel confident, and
Yeah.
that's still kind of an issue with some folks
Yeah.
because a lot of this technology is very intimidating for some people because
It
they've
can be.
never
And
dealt with it.
I've noticed that a ton because a lot of
Hmm.
people, and as soon as they find somebody who kind of knows it a little bit,
Yeah.
they gravitate to the people who know it. Because
Yes.
I kind of know my way around
Hmm.
everything, and so everybody sees that, and they very much like, oh, will you come help me, all this stuff,
Absolutely.
and I'm like, yeah, if I
Yeah.
have the
Why
time,
not? There you go.
I'll come in.
Exactly.
But another thing that I wanted to ask you,
Hmm.
technology wise, here, what would you say is the biggest change from when you first started here?
Oh man, the dive from two things. The move from oh my goodness, I've been here in three. I'm like the Oracle in the Matrix. I've been here 3 times already, right? Um, but I
There's a
do
lot of
remember,
changes.
right? It's a lot of changes. But the two major ones that I can remember was when we went from analog to digital
Mm-hmm.
and how people freaked out over that.
Yeah.
So, I'm the kind of kid that when I learned how to edit, I learned how to edit on tape to tape, which is known as linear editing,
Boy.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how I got started. My life with Eminem actually now is 20. They've been around 25 years. I've been involved with Eminem 24.
Wow.
I started with Eminem as a producer. I'm a byproduct and a proud representative of Alphabet City, Lower East Side.
Yeah.
So I'm a Lower East Side kid.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, when Eminem was new, they had a remote location at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe,
Okay.
which was under what was called the neighborhood Manhattan Neighborhood Revolving Grant.
Okay.
So they were giving grants to particular organizations
Mhm.
in various parts of the borough to have literally like mobile setups, so you could get
Oh, okay.
field equipment, you could edit. And what was cool was, they advertised it in the back of the Village Voice. So
Oh,
my
the
grandmother was
Village
like,
Voice. I don't
she's
see
like,
the Village
right?
Voice anymore.
I think you know what, and it's sad. It's still around. I think
Yeah.
it's a little harder to find because I
Mhm.
do manage to get a copy of it from time to time.
Yeah.
And in Manhattan, it's still free.
Yeah.
The outer
Everything.
boroughs, of course, if you
Yeah.
find it in print, they'll charge you for it.
Yeah.
But
Everything goes online
of course,
nowadays.
and now with
So
everything being online, I still like
it's.
a good old newspaper.
I'm
I
the same
like,
way. I like a
yeah.
newspaper. It's
There's some
weird.
things I don't want to deal with on my
It's
gadget.
weird sometimes when I want to read something from the newspaper and I have to go online to find it or whatever.
Exactly.
It's weird to
I'm
me.
glad you make me feel better because I feel the same way. It's kind of like weird where I like where you used to could go to the library
Yeah.
and they would hold on to, like the entire month
Uh-huh.
of newspapers and you can go
Yeah.
back or even the entire year or even more. But now with everything being electronic and digital,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, go Google it and go on their website
It's
and go
just
find it.
it's
And it's
just
just like, wow.
awkward to me cuz I'm not the oldest person. I'm only 30 years old.
Okay.
But I feel like like my generation around maybe like 26 to
Hmm.
34 might be the last that kind of
You absolutely
experience
are.
that
Totally.
all
Things
print
that are
and
tangible, right?
yeah.
Like print media.
Mhm.
Um, and it almost sounds kind of scary to say it that way, but yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm the generation right above you. I'm 42,
Okay.
so I mean, in theory, we're in the same generation.
Yeah.
We're like the Generation X, I think we're
Yeah,
designated, right?
something
Yeah,
like
we're
that.
before the millennials.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I think for us, and we possibly can agree, is that how fast technology has evolved, that
Mhm.
we've reached finally to that point almost, where everything is almost paperless.
Yeah.
I remember, me being a first generation kind of computer kid,
Mhm.
where that was the promise when computers started becoming commonplace was that, oh, well, we're going to be part of the paperless society.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we
And
increased paper use in the
yeah.
very beginning of the computer age. But now
Now,
we are really at that point where a lot of things are not on paper.
no.
Now PDFs are a very popular thing where pretty much
Yes.
now everybody knows what a PDF is.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember years ago,
People
like
used to look at you
even
foreign when you use those three
even
letters.
myself, when people would send me a PDF, it'd be like
Right.
PDF,
You're
like what
what
is this? Like
that?
let me
Right
sign a
now,
piece of
it's
paper.
commonplace, which is a little eerie, but yet
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Um,
good and bad because if you keep everything, like
mhm,
I've always looked at it like this: if you have stuff on paper,
mhm,
at least you have a physical copy.
right.
But now since everything is online, digital,
Mhm.
people don't have physical copies, and so
Yeah.
especially with computers, if your computer crashes,
Well, how about no battery, no juice?
oh yes, that's
I'm just saying, batteries die.
yes, it's
Um,
the truth. Yeah.
we always take into consideration that when we flick the light switch on, that the lights are automatically supposed to come on because you paid your utility bill. But when you're not responsible for the transmission lines yourself and
Mhm.
things of that nature,
Anything can happen.
it's not sounding apocalyptic or anything like that. It's the nature of what
It's
it
just
is.
truth. It's just the
just
way that it
right,
is.
and we need to embrace that. That we're too dependent on a lot of technology. That what does it require? Electricity. And
Hmm.
so we have to keep in mind that we should keep
Yeah.
certain documents and things. There should be a paper version of it, and then of course some people have the argument, well, where am I supposed to put where do I have space for that? You make space for it.
You make
You know
space.
what I mean? Especially for important documents,
Yeah.
like your tax return,
Exactly.
things
Now
like
let's put
that.
it online and
Right. We're just gonna put it in the cloud, and
yeah, and then
and
all
then
the
when they
cloud.
need it, we'll download it and print it, and it's like,
It's so funny.
no.
When people say the cloud, I think of the latest Rocky movie where Rocky's with Michael B. Jordan, but
Mm-hmm.
I forget what he went by in the movie.
Right.
But there's a scene where he gives him some training information until like Rocky's giving him, he's telling him like what he needs to do for his
Mm-hmm.
workout. So he puts the information down and whatnot, or it's his number, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And he says, and Rocky's like, "What are you doing with the number, or whatever?" Because he's like looking for a paper, and so he's like, "Oh, I put it in my phone. It's in the cloud now." Rocky's like, "In the cloud? What are you talking about? In the
That's
cloud?" He's like
right.
looking up like
That's it.
the cloud.
Yeah, and listen, and Rocky's not the
It's
only
so
one.
funny.
There's a lot of people who, when you use that term, they just go,
Yeah, they
"Oh,
look
in the
up the.
cloud," and I'm like, no, no, no.
I'm not gonna lie. At first I was one of those people. Way not now, but at first when people said it's in the cloud, I was like, in the cloud. Like, what
Right.
are we talking
What
about
are we talking
here?
about? Right.
But okay, I know
Cumulus,
now. I know
right.
what's going
There
on
you go.
with the cloud
Exactly.
now. So,
But yeah, so our change over to digital was one of the big changes here that was really like wow.
mhm.
And then the second was um when we transmuted to HD.
Mm.
And that was a big deal because not only did we move from SD to HD,
Mhm.
but we also started implementing a lot of technologies that required no tape or DVDs. It was
Yeah.
more, it's
For
file
for a
based.
lot of people, that's
And for a lot of people,
mind blown.
I thought it was bad when we switched from analog to digital, and people were just like, "Oh, it's not fair that I can't use my 3/4 inch tapes and my, SVHSs, and you give me this little DV tape."
Yeah.
That was nothing.
What is
But
this little thing?
right, what is this little thing? And then everybody was very comfortable with that.
Uh-huh.
But then when we also made the transition and said, well, now we're moving to, um, no physical formats. It's all
Mhm.
digital. And people were just like, what are you trying to do to us? And we're kind of like,
That's
propelling
crazy.
you into the future. So there's always, when you make these big leaps, it does not have to really, you don't have to put like an age or anything on it. It's just that when people are used to a certain thing, that doesn't matter what age they
Yeah.
are, they're very much, their mantra is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it,
And they
exactly.
look at us sideways, but they're just like, well,
Yes.
what you have to do that for? You're
Yes.
just messing up my routine.
I still have family members, and I won't say one in particular, but I won't say in particular. She still records television on VHS.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Ooh,
It's
no
limited.
DVR. I love it.
It's limited now. However,
Mm-hmm.
there are moments where she will record television with a VHS.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it too. I mean, I have a ton of VHS tapes.
Yeah, so do I.
It's kind of messed up because I always mention this at least once. I'm always a big wrestling fan,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was a kid, I used to collect tapes, of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, it's all on YouTube and everything,
Oh.
and I'm like, damn, had I known that, I would have never. Had I known it would have been on.
That's exactly right.
Would
We
have
would have
never
never,
gotten.
but it's good that we didn't know about that, because then
Yeah,
we
it is.
experienced,
Yeah.
what it was like to set the timer on your VCR.
Oh
to
yeah,
record.
I miss doing that.
I miss doing that. Yeah,
I
and
miss
it's
doing
so
that.
funny because now we have DVR
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. But I remember I was the geek in the family, so my mom found out that the VHS did recordings when we weren't home. She was like, "Sean, how does that thing work?" He said, "Okay, all right." And I would just look in the instruction manual real quick, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay," and take the remote and boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
and it's ready. And she's like, "That's it?
That's all
it?"
you have to do.
And she looks at me and goes, "Okay, that's why I got you around, because
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that stuff." But
Mhm.
yeah, there is, and sometimes people mistaken the resistance that people sometimes give
Mhm.
when going from one technology or one way of doing things to another,
Mhm.
as folks being ignorant. Oh, you need to get with the times. It's like, but
Yeah.
you have to educate people
Mhm.
to quote unquote get with the times.
Yeah.
And even as an organization, that's what Eminem had to do,
Yeah.
where they realized that the vital part in getting people to conform to a new way of doing things is you educate them.
Have to educate.
Knowledge is power, absolutely.
That's-
so that was a very big step that Eminem took as an organization, and pretty much really successful.
Mhm.
That now, people look at you and go, "Oh yeah, I just need to convert those now,
Yeah.
because I want to edit those, but I can't edit them because we don't have tape." So, oh yay, I just take it upstairs and put it from tape to
Yeah.
a file onto my hard drive, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how far folks and the organization has come along.
Yeah. And one thing that you were saying about educating people,
Mhm.
and not just telling them to get with the times, that's one of the things that frustrates me the most,
Mhm.
especially about young people. I don't mean to be angry. I don't want to sound, like I said, I'm only 30. It's not
Right.
like I'm, 65, 70. So I don't want to sound like one of these people that just, hates on the younger generation.
Right.
But they always, like, if you don't know something, or if somebody, is like, oh, I do something a certain way,
Mhm.
they're like, oh, you got to get with the time, just do it, like, understand, like, it's 2017, everything like
I hear
that.
that a lot. Yeah.
I'm like, they have to be educated on it, because, they've known other ways of doing it. And when you get older, and, there's newer ways to do things,
Exactly.
there'll be
We're gonna
people who are
need-
your age,
Totally.
in the future, who are looking at you like,
Absolutely.
get with the times,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna be like, oh, now I know what
Now
they
you
were
know- right.
talking about, because
Yeah.
it just frustrates, because I see a lot of young kids now. I see so many kids with phones and everything like that,
Mhm.
and it's like,
And it's a little interesting,
Yeah.
because to back up what you're saying, there are now at least two generations of young people
mhm,
who have they were born into the technology,
yes,
and I was having a conversation with someone on Saturday, one of the producers who's, a man of a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. He says, what irritates me? He says that, now children are running around here in strollers with
I
iPhones and
yeah.
iPads. And I said, that's deep that you say that, because I said, yeah, it makes me kind of cringe, because
Yeah.
us being adults realizing and us being fascinated with what this technology does,
Mm-hmm.
is one thing, but at least we're adults and we can, I think, more equipped to handle what comes down the pike with the technology.
Yeah.
But for little people,
Mm-hmm.
their minds are still malleable. They're still
Yes.
evolving and
Developing.
developing.
Yeah.
And so on the flip side of the coin, it's quite fascinating that they're
Mm-hmm.
so young and they know how to pick up and start going like
Go
this.
through
And
the
you're
whole
looking at them and
phone.
saying, "Well, wait a minute, you can't even talk yet, but you know how to work this
Exactly.
out." So there's kind of something about that that's really fascinating yet
Yeah.
scary at the same time. Where I'm kind of like,
It's
"Whoa," and
it's definitely wild to me because
yeah,
this was maybe I had a moment a couple years ago. I was walking. I was over by it was by the Apple store,
mm-hmm.
and there was a kid across the street that was upset that their parents weren't taking them to the Apple store. And I was like, wait a second.
Wow,
When I was a kid, I wanted to go to the toy
me
store.
too,
I wanted to
exactly.
get action figures, Hot Wheels
Mm-hmm.
cars, all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And these kids are like, "Are we going to
To
the
the
Apple
Apple
store?"
Store,
And I'm
right?
like, "What is there in the Apple store
Yeah, every time I go in
for
the
you
Apple
to
Store, I
see?"
know for me, and I am an Apple head. I've been since I could remember.
Yeah.
You know,
Once you start using it, it kind of
yeah,
just grows on you,
totally.
you
But
know.
I go in the Apple Store, and I mean, for me, as an adult, it's like, okay, yay,
Yeah.
ooh, I like the new MacBook Pro, ooh, so I put that on my mental wish list. But
Mhm.
I don't see anything fascinating where it makes me want
No.
and it's ironic because the Apple Store is cute, but it's no longer in existence. But FAO Schwarz used to be next door,
Oh, yes.
so
I walk. It's weird. There's some times where I walk right
I
past
know,
it.
right?
It's
And
sad
it,
because there have been times I've walked past it at night,
mm-hmm.
and to just like you see, they've actually expanded. The Apple Store is in FAO Schwartz now.
No,
Yes, I just thought of that actually. You said that. I was like, it's actually in. Like if you walk down where you used to walk in to FAO Schwartz, is the Apple Store. They moved
no
it from. I don't know if they moved it, if they
if they
expanded.
or expanded,
I'm
or
like
did they
spitting
move
here. Sorry.
or did they move like the downstairs part?
I'm not sure if they
Oh, and it's been a
expanded.
while since I've been in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they expanded the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that right where FAO Schwartz
Which was off to the side.
used to
Yeah.
be, that's all the out. That's pretty much not the whole like block where the whole
Right.
store was, but like towards the front
Towards the
is
front
pretty
is.
much all Apple Store.
No kidding.
But I don't know if they still have the downstairs, if they put something else there.
Good question.
I'm not sure, but it's wild.
That is wild. And where the Apple Store is, that used to be part of the GM building.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you used to go downstairs, I remember that's where they used to have like the big display. Like off to the 59th Street side,
Mm-hmm.
you would see like that was the entrance to the GM building, but they would have like some of the latest cars from
Yeah.
GM on display. But then when you would go downstairs, I think Cadillac had like their display down
Yeah.
there, and then you would see a couple of Corvettes and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that was fun. But then when they made that the Apple Store, I was like, in the very beginning, I was blown away. I was like, no, you guys did not take the former GM store,
Yeah.
display and turn that into the Apple Store. I was like, that's crazy. And then it's
It's
also the
crazy.
only 24-hour one we have, which is very interesting.
24 hours.
Yeah,
I don't
to
know.
buy gadgets. I mean, I'm a Nighthawk. I really
Yeah.
am. And so sometimes,
I
and it's
I
not
am
that I'm not a
too.
people person,
I
but
am
I do
too.
like less people. So
Yeah,
I
I
could see
love.
me going in there and, and buy a couple of items at 3 a.m. and
Hmm.
then, be like, yay, now I'm tired and go
Yeah.
home. And I'll open it tomorrow when I get up or later on today when I get up,
Yeah.
But yeah,
You could
it's
go to sleep, wake up, and be like, "Oh, what's this?
right,
Where'd this
right.
come
Where
from?"
did this come from? Oh, right. I went
Yeah.
to Apple Store before I went to bed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
funny. Yeah, I'm a Nighthawk too.
Yeah, I
Just in
think most
general.
creative folks, for the
Yeah,
most part, are. I've noticed.
I love being out at night. Especially in New York,
Mm-hmm.
because in New York when you have so many people, you once it clears out, and I've
Mhm.
noticed once the city clears out, and it's pretty much just the people who are living here
Yep.
and the people who are, maybe going out for the night or
Mhm.
whatever, it's like it feels
It's a different
different.
energy.
It's totally
It
different.
really is.
I love
Absolutely.
that energy.
I
I'm not
enjoy
gonna lie.
it.
I can't stand the daytime
Yeah, the
energy. It's
daytime,
too much.
it's and now because there are more people who live here,
Mhm.
I think most of us who are native New Yorkers notice that in the daytime it's way more hectic and way more chaotic than it used to
Yeah.
be. You get a lot of rush hour activity
Mhm.
pretty much in all parts of the daylight hours now, where it
Yeah.
used to be like, oh yeah, the morning rush, the evening rush, and just be like, okay, cool, and then it does that settle down kind of thing
Mhm.
after each one of those. But
Yeah.
now it's not until I like to call that
It's
the golden hour where everything slows down like after say like midnight,
after
11,
midnight. Yeah.
11:30 midnight, and it does this thing. Yeah, just you feel it, the energy and
Yeah.
just the people and everything is just a much slower pace. You can
Mhm.
actually walk the streets
That's
and
what
not
I
have to
love.
bump into people. I love that too.
I love being able to just walk the street. I mean, it's walk the
Yeah.
street.
Like not like wandering the streets, but
Yeah.
no, being able to walk down the sidewalk and not have to worry
Yeah.
about bumping into folks or having to move out of people's way or watching for other people because they're busy
On their phone,
while they
just
walk.
looking.
And I'm okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one.
It is and sometimes some ideas. I get a lot of ideas at night too.
Totally. Yeah.
That helps out a ton as well because at night I'm able to observe, whereas during the day
It's
you're
too much
you're
going
you're
on.
trying to figure
It's
out where to
sensory
go.
overload in conjunction with you trying to navigate through your day and your way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. At night, everything calms down. So it's the perfect time
It's
to
fun.
create ideas, expand on ideas, write things out and plan and
Yeah,
create. Yeah,
love
totally.
love love the evening time.
Me and you both.
Um, but another thing that I wanted to ask about,
Hmm.
since we're talking about creating and stuff like that, when people come to M&N, what I don't know, what would you say are the most common kind of ideas that people have? Like, what are they looking to do
Hmm.
that, you notice trends, anything like that?
I notice a lot of people, they have really great ideas that they want to turn into shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they look at us for is the guidance. Like,
Mm-hmm.
should they go the route of making it a studio show or should they go on location and
Mm-hmm.
do field and editing and things like that? And, I wind up having, a lot. I'm almost like a college counselor, so to speak, where
Yeah.
I'm helping to guide people to make the right decisions in their journey to creating the content that they're looking to create.
Mm-hmm.
This just as much as anybody else is that and myself that what's beautiful about Eminem is how you don't need a prerequisite to come in here.
Yeah,
Um, you
that's
know,
great.
a lot of times people have the aha moments afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
when they've taken their first class, and maybe on their way here or on their way leaving from here, they've come across the catalyst for them
Yeah.
creating a show.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come to me and they come to us in the department and they're like, oh, well, I really want to do this, and we're like, okay, let's walk you through the steps.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay, because I think for a long time a lot of people didn't plan.
Yeah.
They felt that, let me go get some studio time or let me go get a camera, let me just go shoot this thing, which is nothing wrong with
Mm.
that, because
And
sometimes
there are still some people like that.
yes,
Uh,
yes, who one of my big mantras that I love to tell people is, poor planning on your part
mhm.
does not constitute an emergency on mine. It's a really
Oh
awesome quote.
yes,
I don't
that's a great
know
saying.
who's I gotta research. I have to Google that one of
Google it.
who
Yes,
did
don't
that quote.
research.
But I learned that quote from one of my mentors. And she told me that a while ago. She was just like, she said, Da'Shawn, she was like, when you don't plan, she was
Mhm.
like, and then everything becomes an emergency. She says,
That's
then,
a great point.
and I was like, that's a really valid and great point. It's
Yeah.
like you got to plan for
Mhm.
things to make sense, for things to really come together. It requires planning.
Yeah.
And in the production realm where you and I sit in this realm called media, it's
Mhm.
important for people, even if it's just the basic, get you a little pen and paper,
Yeah.
and write it down. Okay, if you're like total Uber 21st century, take your smartphone, open up the note taking app,
And
and
just
get to
write it
working your
down.
thumbs out and let it
Yeah.
go from brain to device or pen to
Mhm.
paper, and write it out so that there's a roadmap. So it doesn't feel like you're going in circles, or it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like you're going to have those stuck moments where you don't know where to go next. um when people understand, when we teach them in classes, like, you should really keep in mind the concept that there's a beginning, a middle, and an
And an
end.
end.
28 minutes or 58 minutes may seem like a long time.
Mhm.
When even when properly planned, it goes like that.
Yeah.
But when it's not planned,
No.
it feels like an eternity for you to get it done, because you're pretty much all over the place.
Yeah.
And so what I've noticed is that we get people who have really, really, really great ideas, but we're also kind of in that place where we're kind of molding them at the same time. And I think some people are
Mhm.
amazed that at the age that they are, that they can still be molded. It takes a little
Yeah.
longer. The adult mind, we're pre-programmed pretty much, because we've been out here for a while learning and
Mhm.
collecting data and
Yeah.
processing it and doing
Yeah.
things the way we
Putting
know
it
how
all
to
in
do it.
here,
Right. But when you have learned something new and you're trying to, incorporate that into the things you already do know,
Mhm.
for some people they struggle with it. But for some
Yeah.
people, they learn to acclimate and they flourish and they do great things. We now have people who come in here with like ideas already like out the box,
Well,
where they can't wait to get certified because they already have got the idea
Mhm.
down packed.
what would you say in your time here? What would you say is the best idea that you heard and was actually, I guess, seen to completion? I guess you could say,
Hmm.
off the top of your head, if you have any.
There's one young man, I can't think of it, and it escapes me right now what the exact title of the show is, but his name is Nasir,
Okay.
and he's a new producer. And I remember him coming to orientation, and you see it. You see people who are in orientation, and once we go through the whole orientation, there are some people who are lit up like Times Square. They're just
Yeah.
like, just kind of, for me, I
I
laugh
have seen those
inside where I'm
people.
just like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, these are the ones who, and a lot of them, they are on it. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
and Nasir was one of them. Nasir was just like, whoa, this is a place you can do that kind of thing. And we're like, yeah. And then, when they go through the whole gamut of like how much a class costs, and they're just like, that's it. And we're like, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
it. They was like, what's the catch? There is no catch.
No catch. No.
Only prerequisite is that you're a Manhattan resident and that you have the proper credentials. Your government issued ID that's not expired, and
Yeah.
some proofs of where you live. And once you got that down
Well,
pat,
you're good.
and you attend orientation, you're good to go. You literally got the keys to the castle, and you gotta
Mm-hmm.
work it out the best way you see fit. But Nasir, you can already tell, is that kind of person. He's a creative,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was doing research and looking into topics, and he's already had like people from even on the outside that he's brought in that help him to create his content.
Nice.
And once he was studio certified, he made sure he went through studio certification, field certification, and editing. He put the foundation down.
Yeah.
So that when he wants to go out on location, he can shoot stuff, edit it, put a package together.
I think that's a smart way to do it.
I agree as
there's
well.
there's some people who will take one and then
Mhm.
wait for the others.
That's right.
And I tell them you should just
I
do them
tell them the
together. It
exact
makes
same
it
thing.
just makes it easier.
Yeah, because once you have your foundation built, I think it's important. Once that's together,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you decide to create is solid,
Yeah.
because you have all the core fundamentals that you need. You have, it's like a mechanic with his tools. You're not gonna see him sitting there and not roll out that whole roller with
Yeah.
every single socket, wrench, and screwdriver, and on
Yeah.
planet. If
And
you see him break out like a normal size one that we could go get at Home Depot ourselves, you be like,
yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Or if he wheels out the whole thing and he's like, I only use from this drawer.
Right.
The other
And
ones,
the other 5 drawers I don't
don't know
use.
about.
And
I
I'm
don't
like,
touch that stuff. Yeah, I don't know about
I
that.
don't know about that either. But when you see people actually put that stockpile together and then they're using like all the tools in their palette,
Mm-hmm.
these are the people who create like at warp speed. And the one person who came to mind for me is Nasir. Shout out to Nasir,
Nasir,
in case he sees this.
I've not met you, but hopefully I will meet you soon.
You should meet him. And it's awesome because he uses the large studio, and he's one of the first people I've seen to take it and use it. And he breaks it up into 3 different areas for one production. So, he's got like studio participation. He's got interviews set up. Then he's got another part set up for like he's got his DJ and stuff like
Oh, you know
that.
what? I think I've seen.
Hmm
I'm pretty sure I've seen them. Don't know which one exactly is
Yeah,
this year, but I
and when
think
I
I've
tell you
seen.
they use the conference room, he is one person that when we told them on the tour for the orientation, like this is the conference room. It's like you use it as your green room. You use it for pre-production meetings.
Hmm.
You can it's a producer's resource. Oh, trust me, he uses it,
Yeah.
and he's got his people together. He uses Crew Connect. He's got his he's like you. He has his core team together and they help each other out. So like
Yeah.
when someone on his crew is working on their thing, he jumps in and helps
Yeah.
them and vice
It's
versa.
the best way to
And
do
it's a
it.
great example of camaraderie and community
Hmm.
and giving back where, because it gets people shows done. And there's some
Yeah.
folks here, especially who are some of our older producers who have been here for a while, that they have a hard time getting crew.
Hmm.
And it's just like what we said, about evolution. Sometimes if you're stuck in your ways of when you're doing a show, for instance,
Hmm.
if you ask the people who you've been asking to help you, when usually are you free?
Yeah.
Now, usually that's the number one denominator on the litmus test of why you can't get crew.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're picking studio times that
Times.
don't fit in other folks' schedules.
Yeah.
So
I've
either,
noticed that myself.
yeah, I mean, we all
And so
have.
I've adjusted.
There you go, and that's the whole point. You try to adjust where applicable, if you, according to your schedule, because you have things to do too, just like
Hmm.
everybody else, and I get that. But when you're talking about wanting to get your content done, the majority of people here are taking whatever free time they have available to create their content,
Hmm.
and so when we talked about earlier about planning, that also includes time management. I make it kind of like a joke, but I'm serious when we're in orientation. I tell people, well, listen, if you're not good at time management,
Yeah.
welcome to today is your first day to get involved in experimenting and implementing time
Time
management
management
because
is
that's the whole
crucial.
thing. It's crucial. I tell them also the first way that you can make enemies in this place
Hmm.
is when you run up on somebody else's studio time.
Mm.
When you make an appointment with somebody, be on time. Don't treat it like, the doctor's appointment where your doctor calls you and tells you got a 1 o'clock
Yeah.
appointment, but they're not going to see you till 1:30.
1:30.
You just say, well, I'm strolling in there at 1:20 and still be all right because, he ain't going to see me at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, in here, it's like 1 o'clock means 1 o'clock.
Hmm.
And when you have to be out at 4 o'clock, that means you need to be out here at
At 4 o'clock.
3:55.
Yeah, 3:55. Yeah.
So I tell people that you should be kind of in that way. Like if you ride Staten Island Ferry where one goes and one comes in, you should be like two passing ships.
Hmm.
You should never be in confrontation with somebody because you can't get it together.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that 100%.
knock on wood, most people get it, but we still have a few exceptions to the rule.
There's
Like
some.
anything
Yeah.
in the world, where
There are always exceptions.
there's always exceptions.
It
As my mom would
happens.
tell me growing up, sometimes some folks don't believe doo doo don't stink. Used to be like, oh gosh. See, for me, I was like, yeah, I don't need to step in it, taste it, smell it. I get it. I just know it stinks. So you don't need to get
Yeah.
me to experiment and fondle and play around to figure out why. No, I
Mhm.
get it. But
Yeah.
there's some people who, some of them got to fall face forward in it sometimes and have, a few tastes to say, oh
Yeah, I
wow, not
mean,
only does it smell bad, but it doesn't taste good either.
and then
Oh,
even then sometimes people will
go to the outer
continue.
limits.
Yeah.
Yes,
Will
agreed,
continue with their way.
agreed. Yes.
But we are coming to the end.
Already?
Yeah, I know it goes fast. It does go
Wow.
fast.
Absolutely.
But before we end, are there any special announcements, events going on here at M&N that we should know about?
Yes. So May 31st from 6:30 to 8:30, we have our Media Maker Meetup.
Oh, okay.
And this was an event that was created for you guys, by you guys. A lot of the producers wanted a venue where they could meet up with other producers.
Hmm.
Um, if you go to education@mn.org, that's our email to our department. Um, a lot of producers are working on ideas, and you know
Hmm.
how it is when you work on ideas. If it's always up here,
Yeah.
after a while, you can do all the writing and planning you want. And you're just like, oh my God, this is starting to not make sense, or it's
Yeah.
starting to sound crazy. I need somebody else to listen to this. So
Yeah.
we've given people the opportunity to take like 5 minutes per person, and we'll take 3 people. And while, after we, snack and nosh, we open up the floor and let people, talk about their projects and say that, well, listen, I also book studio time and I'm looking for crew and
Yeah.
this is what I'm working on. And people give feedback. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes people are looking for genuine feedback to give them an idea of like, oh, good, I'm not going crazy. And then what we also try to do is bring in media professionals to give tips and ideas. We have a gentleman coming in from ABC News that Ronnie, who
Okay.
Ronnie and Tiffany are the ones who put that together.
Shout
In
out to
terms of,
Ronnie.
yes, Ronnie and Tiffany for doing the Media Maker meetup. So it's going to be exciting.
Oh,
It's open to our certified producers.
excellent.
So, you know, if you're not certified, you know, you definitely should come to an orientation. You know, you just have to be a Manhattan resident or
Mhm.
affiliated with a Manhattan-based nonprofit organization. And orientations are free. You know, we do them every first Tuesday of the month here at the Firehouse on 104th Street. And then here at 59th Street, we do them on a Thursday and a Saturday in the middle of the
Mhm.
month. So in theory, between the two locations, we do orientation 3 times a month.
How many
And
people do you get total at those?
oh my
Like
goodness,
in a month, would you say?
I would say between the three, anywhere between, I would say maybe between 80 and 100 people.
That's good. It's a good number.
Yeah.
Have you seen another thing that I just thought of this actually?
Mm-hmm.
Since everything is going on, YouTube and all that, do you see more people coming in because of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's
when
what I
they
figured.
learn in orientation that, you know, even though you have free access to the equipment and things like that, you know, the only binding contract, if you will, that you have between Eminem and yourself is that the content you create has to be given to Eminem first for airing.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that at no time do we own the rights to your content or do we, you know, take ownership of it and then
Yeah.
release it once you air it. Once you give it to us, you can do what you want with it. And so what a lot of people are doing is they, because of the way we teach them to do things in segment style, they break it up and put up certain snippets on YouTube, or if they have their own websites, they put the rest of the content up on their website
Okay.
and, you know, they're
Yeah.
promoting. They come to the free workshops that we have. So they utilize social media and using their
Mm-hmm.
mobile devices and, you know, using their YouTube pages finally because maybe they've had them and they're just like, I don't know what I'm
Just
gonna do
didn't
with
do
that. But
anything
now
with
they're like,
them.
oh, now I know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we give them a few resources to help them promote themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eminem has a few apparatus in place through our marketing department where they're really big on making sure to get the word out that people are creating content and putting it up on the main page and on Facebook and on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter so that people know that there's that online viewership
Yeah.
because you know no longer are people just strictly
Watching
watching
TV.
TV. They're watching it on their smart devices now
Yeah.
that we have the
Some people
introduction.
don't even have cable TV.
No, this is true. You know,
Yeah.
there's a report that just came out like last week or something that they said within the United States alone, like 56% of the population of the United States, they've cut the cable. They've
Yeah.
cut it. And they're just like, I just have high speed internet and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that. And across the world, it's like 54% of the
Wow.
world population are now classified as cable cutters. And I was just
That's
like, that's
crazy.
crazy. But because we
Right.
have, you know, super fab, high speed internet
Yeah.
in various locations in various ways.
And that's like us going back,
Yeah.
to our old ways.
Exactly.
We were used to cable TV.
That's right.
So,
That's
we watch
right.
it, but times
But
are changing. So,
everything is now internet based and
oh,
streaming and you know,
yeah.
and again, now people are watching stuff on their smartphones and on their tablets because the internet has so much high speed now that, you know, pretty much anything you want to look for or find is accessible anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of freaky yet exciting at the same time as
Yeah.
well. So, you know, what else is next? I have no idea, but
Don't know what's next,
right.
but we know what's now. So,
Absolutely.
and
I'm content with that.
yes.
Yes.
And Da'Shawn, it was great having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you coming on
Likewise.
today.
Likewise.
Are you on social media?
I am.
Go ahead.
So my social media, Da'Shawn, that's Dashawn, H for Harold. So now you know my middle name.
Oh,
And
Harold.
then Pretlow, Pretlow. That's the @ for Twitter.
Okay.
I'm getting it together, y'all. And then yeah, and then I am on Facebook as well. If you look up Da'Shawn Pretlow Inc. Because I like to teach and do
Yeah.
things.
And we'll have to get into that in
Yeah, we'll
another
talk about that.
episode.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
another
like to do
time.
this stuff on the side too because
Yeah.
I'm a media junkie. So yeah.
So That's our excuse
Absolutely.
to bring him back for
Yay.
another
I look
for
forward to
another
that.
episode.
You got it.
But thank you for coming on.
Thank you
Really
for having me.
appreciate it. It was fun.
Likewise, yeah, I
Um,
can't wait to come back.
yep, can't wait to have you back.
Awesome.
Everybody, thank you for listening to us. Don't forget, you can check us out. Guys, I'm getting it together with the social media. Okay, so
Right. We're men of a
come
certain age.
cut
That's
me some
right.
slack here. I'm
That's
getting
right.
it together.
Getting it together.
You can find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and then Tumblr as well. LAWE Show SM. So Life and Whatever Else Show Social Media is what it stands for.
Awesome.
I'll repeat that. LAWE SHOWSM. So there you go. And then you can find us on YouTube, Life and Whatever Else, no spaces. And you can find us there, and the show will be there.
Nice.
So thank you guys very much. Da'Shawn, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Eric.
It was
See you
fun.
soon.
And I will catch you guys next time.
Awesome.
All right.
You got it.
Excellent. There we go.